The motion that we made at last meeting for the land swap was contingent on receiving ownership of the cut-through area. Since Mr. McQueen is not interested in that, I would not support a land swap, basically for the reasons that Nancy had suggested. I don't think that there would be an equal value. I think our taxpayers, again, would be on our backs with regards to that. I don't think that would be fair to them. I appreciate and I really agree with the idea of having that piece of property so that our community can do what it would like with it in terms of making it more beautiful, more gardens perhaps. But at this time, at least, I don't have any interest in the land swap.
I agree with that. I just had one question. If that little piece of property, I mean, when we looked at the appraisal, I think it was valued at $4,000 or something, the albatross.
I'll have to.
I mean, it's around there, 4 or 5. And I thought, what about the homeowners association? I mean, of the people who live there, why not? They could buy it and beautify it and own it. And, I mean, is that an option?
I don't
I mean,
think
I
that
don't
that
know.
would be a,
And then if Mr. McQueen wants to buy our property on Taylor Road, you know, we'll do it like, just like you do any other property. Get a appraisal and sell it.
Do we need a motion? Or we have,
Tell us what
Consensus?
to do, David.
Well, you know, we're either in a negotiation phase where he said, well, you know, I won't do the swap of title for the property that we want, but I would do it for an easement. You have to decide, okay, well, do we counter with something less than all of the other property and or do we sweeten the pot? Or do you want to just decide, the heck with it, we're not gonna pursue this any further? So the question is, do you want to negotiate further, or do you want to just not even counter and it's just a dead deal with respect to that particular offer?
Nancy?
I've had multiple conversations with Mr. McQueen. He's always maintained that he would give us an easement on that property. So, and I applaud Tom and the group for doing what they're doing in the study, and it's great. I think, you know, we should, you know, move forward with that. Since I voted no, I can't bring up making a motion to do something different, but, you know, we don't really have a,
Well, if that's being the case, you can take a vote to reject his counter and not make a counter, and therefore that deal is dead, and then you can make whatever other motion that you would want as an alternative.
You still want to pursue the easement, I think, don't you?
That's, in my mind, again, further down the road, when we know the cost, the place, the this, the that, and we have plenty of public hearings for the entire community to weigh in, because as you know, there are people that are opposed to the cut-through. So, and some of them feel like this is not out in the open as much as it should be. And so it would definitely need to be further down the road where we could have the study come in and be presented for everyone to hear and have input on before I could even support anything past that. That's where I'm at with it.
And the devil is really in the details, and we're talking about an easement. Well, how big of an easement is it going to be? I presume that it will be a perpetual easement. That's the only thing that we would be able to do. If the easement was large enough to allow for us to put some of the mangroves that we might need for mitigation purposes into a conservation easement, and that would have to be specified in the easement that we would get. You know, it may be that at the end of the day, the easement may have much of the same attributes as the ownership would have been from our perspective, from a practical matter, but we don't know any of that yet. All we know is that he didn't want to sell it to us, he would grant an easement. I'm not exactly sure why, but, you know, we would then, if we wanted to make an offer with the terms that we were suggesting in the nature of an easement as opposed to a purchase or title, that is certainly an option that you have available to you.
I would suggest you don't close the door on any discussions with him. Let's see what the study says.
Well, I think one of the things too is, as I understand now, and I didn't understand a couple of weeks ago, is that there are various options for an easement. So you're not even sure where, if at all, it will go through his property. So I think
Right.
we do. We just need to wait and find out what the study says and get the best recommendations that we can get at that time. But as far as the land swap, I think that issue, just based on his response, I think that's a dead issue. Right, that's my perspective
Do
anyway.
you need,
And so, yes, it would
So
be
I'll make
appropriate
a
for.
motion to not make a counter. And?
And withdraw the offer of any land swap based on the terms and conditions that were previously presented.
Yes.
okay, we have a motion and a second to not counter and to withdraw
The offer of a
The-
land swap.
the offer of a
based on
land
the
swap
terms and
based on,
Conditions previously presented.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
4-1.
Okay, so now you have a clean slate to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it.
I would just say, can we wait until this study is published for everyone to see? And then we could have a presentation and a discussion at a council meeting where it's publicly noticed, everyone's aware of the, that it's upcoming, and everybody has a chance to weigh in on the matter. That's what I would like to see.
That was my proposal, that we put off Alligator Creek cut to a future date when we have had an opportunity to have met with the marine engineer and with the county representative with regard to the funding of the property.
And I would like city staff to be in attendance at those meetings as well for recommendations and information based on their opinions as well.
Oh, yeah, well, when we get a report, whatever that is, we will certainly be there. May I caution the folks from the Boaters Alliance and MAC?
Sure.
The last time some folks went to the MAC committee and looked at some grant funds without council approving a particular project was when they went regarding the Bayfront Center and opening it up for day room sailors. So I would be reluctant for us as staff to start working with, I guess, the WCIND folks. We can get some information, but actually working with them when we don't have a project.
Right.
We do not have a project yet. So please, let's get the study done.
Right.
What is it going to say? What are the
Step one.
options open to us? Let's look at all of that first.
yeah, Howard, Howard, I think you're right in not officially going to WCIND before we have the study. The study will occur in the next 60 days. We'll have that report. And at that point in time, Andy Stevens from the county said he'd like to see that report before we go to WCIND. So it all fits.
Yes, so the
is
report
key.
should come back to this council, and then the council will decide what direction to take at that time. And that's where we should be at this point. Is that agreeable to everyone?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Yes.
That's our course of action.
Yes.
So when the study's published, we will have our staff make recommendations and look over the information, and then we'll take a direction from there.
Might I also suggest that as we, again, I agree with you that it should first come here, but in terms of making it available to the residents, I would like to see us in a different venue, perhaps at the Civic Association, so that we have a big open forum with regards to it. One of the other recommendations that was made was to have realtors there, because one of the main complaints that I've gotten, at least, is that, the people close to Ponce are going to lose property values. Well, maybe if we have realtors, which I believe they're all going to go up, but
Right.
but at any rate, to have the realtors there to perhaps allay fears or let us know what the situation might be so that people have a level playing field in terms of helping to make decisions with regards to the cut-through.
I'm comfortable with it being in a council meeting. I think it should be an agenda item and be at a council meeting.
Well, I
Well,
think
will
that
we
the
have-
study should be, I think that should come back to us, and we should, again, make a decision, yay, move forward or not. But in terms of educating the public about the information, I think that could be in a larger venue.
Well, until we have our direction on how we're going, then
Right.
we could discuss that then.
But then have the public hearings and get input, because a lot of people are interested in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw it from the Burnt Store Isles when we had a Canal Advisory Committee to discuss our lock widening. I mean, we couldn't get the people in the room. Half the people had to, leave or go somewhere else. So if we sense that that's going to be the direction, then I think I would agree with Carolyn.
A lot of people are interested in
So,
this.
Yes.
and I think it would be good to publish it, because I know I've heard from people that are worried about how long it's going to take to get out to fish. So it's, the concerns aren't just from within PGI, so.
We have direction.
Any other comments, Tom?
On the land swap, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we move ahead with the land swap between Bucky McQueen and the city with regard to the city-owned property on Taylor and the city-owned property on Taylor and the McQueen-owned property on Bell Harbor and Albatross, that we did get approval from the Punta Gorda Civic Association and St. Andrews. I'd like to make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? There's no second to your motion.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Tom?
Nope.
This is your council member comment time, too. Okay. Carolyn?
I would like to thank Tom for, obviously for his efforts with regards to the cut-through, but also with regards to annexation. What we had happen today would not have happened if Tom did not pursue and review the options that we had for the interlocal agreement with the county. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate all your efforts on that. I guess the other thing that I wanted to bring up is I think Punta Gorda lost a good friend with the passing of Claiborne Young. I think everyone knows that he was killed in a motorcycle accident. And Claiborne Young really, I believe, brought our boating community to the rest of the boaters in his Salty Paws or whatever his publications are and in his website. But he also did a lot to motivate us, I believe, to really think more clearly about what our options were for inviting boaters to our community. So I just wanted to mention that.
Kim?
Nothing, thank you.
Nancy?
I would agree with you there, Carolyn, and Tom, yes, thank you for pursuing the annexation. I've already been working with Dave Drury just to make sure I have my facts straight so that Howard and I can approach the Walmart and others to proceed on with more annexation. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else we can do. I have an issue in Burnt Store Isles that has come up. It's one of the projects that we approved for the sales tax, and you've seen a few, but not all of the emails regarding a sidewalk project on Macedonia. And out of the 115 properties that are on Macedonia, 15 of the property owners have stepped forward and said, we don't want a sidewalk, and have been very vocal about it. I have asked Burnt Store Isles, Howard and I have met with Burnt Store Isles Association, and we've talked about it. I'd like your support in this approach. I could come to you and say, let's just take it off the agenda, because some of these residents would just prefer we take it off of the list of projects. I don't feel it would be appropriate for us to usurp BSIA. They're the ones who made the recommendation. I want them to evaluate it and take it off. But I'd like for them to come back to us. I would prefer come back to us in August when we reconvene, and with a recommendation of what they would like for us to do. I've thought about it, and I thought, if PGICA made a recommendation, I wouldn't want us to just take the the approach of, well, you know, a few people didn't want it, so we're going to take it off. I think it's, that we need to have a collaborative approach. So I would like your support in taking that approach.
I agree.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
That's good.
Any other comments?
No, I'm looking forward to our early morning drive to Brooksville.
Okay, now we're moving into citizens' comments. Please come to the podium, state your name, you have 3 minutes.
Guess who? Ray Rose, representing PGICA. I would like to offer our facility if you want to use it for a major council meeting. We have done that in the past, and we can accommodate close to 300 people versus this auditorium. And with the interest, particularly in the cut-through, I think you might want to do that. We have also offered to the people at the courthouse the opportunity to have a session on what the courthouse wants to do and how they want to proceed with it. And if you want to do a general presentation on the sales tax program as a whole, it may have to be on like a Saturday morning because our schedule is pretty full, but we would be happy to support you. Finally, on August 5th is a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. Jacqueline Brown from Charlotte County Historical is going to do a lecture program on Hurricane Charlie. And it's part of our 10-year recognition of that memorable day. And will be open fully to the public. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a lot for 3 minutes.
Thank you.
It was only 1 minute, 47 seconds.
Jay Buckley, Punta Gorda Boaters Alliance. I'd just like to remind everybody that the study that we're all talking about, everybody wants to use and see and everything else, was funded by private funds. The Boaters Alliance has continued, I get checks every day. It's my name or my address that's on where you send your check. And there is a lot of interest. You'll never have a meeting that this room will provide fairness to. It's going to have to be in a bigger venue. A lot of the folks that sort of have some selfish interests, as far as I'm concerned, about their properties, probably wouldn't have to pay for any of this anyway, and they wouldn't in the future. So there's a lot of misunderstanding about the whole thing. I'm going to be the point person for Hans Wilson's reports. I want to remind you that that report's going to come back to Boaters Alliance first. And we'll prepare PowerPoint presentations and so forth with it. Incidentally, I don't know, I guess Herm didn't mention, MAC, our Punta Gorda Boaters Alliance now has a seat on MAC. There was a vacancy by the conservation conservative people, and they voted last week for us to fill that seat. So, unanimously, I might add, yeah, right. So, if you, Mr. McQueen has been cooperative from the get-go. He's wanted this. You guys want to cut through. We funded this study. We took on this project as a community project, boating community project. What's fair is fair. You've got a whole bunch of people living out in that end that are new to the area. They didn't know what they were buying. They didn't know anything. But they're filling up those condominiums, and they're spending money, and they're boaters. So we're trying to facilitate the whole idea. It's happening on the harbor. It hasn't happened on the harbor yet, folks. Not what this area and harbor is capable of has not happened. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Bill Hughes, Bernstow Isles for 13 years. Nancy, where were you when we were talking about sidewalks on Tripoli a couple of years ago? The other day, I went with Tom and Don McCormick over to the courthouse, and I agree with what you've all said, but I think it's a public relations disaster the way this thing came out. And I mentioned that to John and to the judge that took us around. Carolyn, you said could bring some people in here. I don't think the room is big enough. I suggested to them that they get out to the homeowners association in person and present the case to the homeowners at their local venue. And I would suggest that you and the county commissioners have got to get out and tell people what's this going to cost if it doesn't get past the 1% sales tax. Thank you.
Thank you. Citizens' comments? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Our 1-hour meeting turned into 2.